Welcome everybody. Here we go. It's Sunday night. We're back. Took a week hiatus. Hope everybody enjoyed. What was it? Super Bowl? I'm not a football person, so Super Bowl. Did you guys watch?
I did not. No.
Do they even have foosball in up where you are?
I mean, there is, but I think it's Canada's more hockey. I think it's kind of. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not the sports girl.
So are you guys still the Stanley Cup, or do you have your own Canadian?
No, it's the Stanley Cup. The Oilers are going to get it this year, so we're taking it. So, anyways, yeah, we had a vacation, and we are back. Here we are, Global Strangeness. For anyone who doesn't know us, 3 strangers brought together by the love of everything freaking weird. I don't know how else to say it. So this week was my topic, and because I'm a little spiritual nut, I thought, let's talk about consciousness. So I don't know, it really blurs. I mean, there's a scientific side to it, and and then you get into spirituality and then how to gain access to it, which I'm sure Scott, you'll have some things about how to use hallucinogenics or whatever to get into it. Like, there's so much theories around how to gain consciousness. So anyways, first of all, I thought I'd start with just a definition. Consciousness at its simplest is awareness of internal and external existence. And that's kind of the scientific sort of simple explanation. But then the spiritual side is, what is spiritual consciousness? And that's becoming the consciousness of soul and God, or universe, or whatever you want to call that source, creator. And most of us are aware of our body, of the thoughts that pass through our mind and the world around us, and that's called the physical consciousness. But then a lot of people believe that you can tap into the collective consciousness. And so everybody knows The Secret and Bob Proctor and all the manifestation, and that's how really all that works, right? You get into people heal themselves and do all kinds of things when they access collective consciousness. So just curious, I do meditate. I always talk about that, right? But do you guys do you feel like consciousness is just kind of your awareness of what something tastes like or looks like or smells like in your area? Or do you feel like there's something bigger and you tap into it and you get experiences that way?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of question my own consciousness on a daily basis, if I'm really conscious or this is all just some kind of fucked up nightmare. But I mean, when you said you want to do an episode on consciousness, I'm like, all right, so we got to talk about the Matrix then, or the simulation theory, because
bring it on. Like, there's so much, right? So many different theories. Who knows? So bring it on. What do you think about the Matrix theory then?
Well, considering you can literally Google stories of glitches in the Matrix, and you will find hundreds of stories of people with either where they got transported to what seemed like a different reality for a short period of time, or where things are not right. Like, it seems like something goes missing. Suppose that something goes missing when you're in the Matrix, and it's just like, you put it there. There's not a shadow of a doubt. You are completely a sober, clear-minded person when you put it there. And it just disappears, and then maybe an hour later, it's back where you put it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like maybe a wire just got unplugged somewhere in the control room. So, I don't know. It's kind of... It's creepy. I mean, I have multiple stories of it, but we can wait to do those a little bit. Might as well get the discussion of it out of the way first before we jump into using other people's stories.
So what about you, Scott? Have you ever had an experience? Because I definitely, when you go into deep meditation, it's almost like what is the drug you're always talking about that you want to test out? Where
Which one?
DMT,
yeah,
dimethyltryptamine,
yes, that one. So
and
I
that's
feel like
that's
meditation for
actually
that
in
is
our
the perfect.
brain.
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah,
not
and
wrong.
that's why you can do it with meditation too, is like because
Hmm.
it's naturally in our brain. So it's kind of the same experience. I think the taking it, early or whatever, just kind of fast tracks you there. But
Kundalini yoga is the one that releases it.
right, right. So have you guys, I mean, so have you ever had a drug fueled experience that made you feel like you were aware of like a God consciousness and God energy or universe, whatever you want to, whatever word you want to use, but creator or source energy running through you? Because definitely meditation, you get that.
I was always partying, fucked up when I would do it. The last time I did hallucinogenics, I was sick for like 3 weeks. And I normally you robo fry, you drink like the small bottle of Robitussin. I drunk the Costco size fucking family bottle, and that was like the craziest shit I've ever seen. Because it was like a DVD that was scratched to hell. So like I would rewind, go back 2 chapters, go forward 5 chapters, come back, skip. So I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's wild. How are you alive?
Lasted.
Sometimes I wonder, like the things you do to your body. This is wild.
Scott is
I,
Jesus, if you didn't know. He's Mormon Jesus.
Right?
oh, dude, my friend. I did a podcast with my friend Taylor. It was called "Remember the Shit." It was my wife and I, and we'd talked to all our old friends. And my buddy Taylor had just gotten out of prison, and he was shooting dope. And some dude asked him if he wanted LSD. So the dude squeezed in like 60 drops into his spoon, and he injected all of that. Like some of the shit my friends have done is like nuts, nuts. I haven't gotten close. I'm not
That's
very good with hallucinogenics.
Yeah, it's something I don't want to mess with. Real, I mean, I kind of do, but I really don't because just like I prefer to have control over what I'm doing and
that's me too. Yeah,
not
yeah.
be out in the field running into trees trying to chase an imaginary rabbit down a hole. But
You've never done
eh,
mushrooms?
no, I have not, Scott. I wouldn't even know where to find them. But and hell, actually, that's not true because I thank you, Harley, for watching. And I mean, I've interviewed a few different people who are microdose experts now because that's a thing nowadays.
Mhm.
And so I guess I would know where to find them. I would just have to travel to go get coached.
Dude, you don't find them, they find you.
Scott, I feel like we all lead very different lives here. Like a second glass of wine is really kind of pushing it. So it's always hilarious. However, it's interesting because I meditate all the time and it's chasing that same feeling, I guess, really, right? So
Yeah.
And Chansey says that he's had a DMT experience that's similar to what you're describing, Deborah. And he's also had his fair share of mushroom experiences. So,
yeah, see, and that's what's wild about it is, it's not like I'm totally opposed. I'm chicken shit, I guess, to go that route. But really, if you think about, you know, um, native or like there's different cultures that use these things to have these experiences in a spiritual manner. So it's really controlled, but it's all about spirituality. But it's really common, right? Like they're used. So I don't know. I might be. I don't know.
Well,
I'll
even where they don't use some sort of psychedelic, they'll like dehydrate themselves and chant until they get into some sort of hallucinogenic state.
Yeah.
Like there's places in Africa where there's just no hallucinogenics that grow, but they still have the very similar ways to talk to God.
So what was it? Oh gosh, my memory. But we were talking one time. I think it was one of the Christmas cryptid things or whatever, one of our topics. But remember, there was some reindeer.
Yeah, the Amanita muscaria mushroom in
Yes.
Siberia.
Yeah. Like that's
The
going to
cra-
some extreme lengths to like get a little high there.
well, the crazy thing is like as Western or Eastern culture now today, we still don't know how to process those. They're like pretty toxic to your liver. I guess they make you feel really sick. I've never even seen one, but ancient Greece and ancient Siberia, like they used to use those constantly. Like that's if you look at any of the old stained glass or like Christian art from way back in the day, it all has that mushroom.
Right.
So
Which
they
is so
must have.
interesting. It makes the reindeer fly. Yeah.
Yes, as Chancey says, the mushrooms that make the reindeer fly.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
they knew
Yeah,
how to process it a different way than we do. Like, I mean, they used to infuse everything in wine too, so God knows what they were doing.
I
So
mean
here's
the
my
bite
question:
the
are people just high and drunk, and then having these experiences, or even releasing the DMT in your own brain and hallucinating, or are you connecting? Because I 100% believe you're connecting with Source. I believe in angels. I believe there's evidential experiences you can have. But what do you guys think? Do you think? I mean,
well
you're
maybe
talking.
Scott maybe Scott will get this comment too, but Chancey said like the Blue Lotus.
I don't know
Yeah, I
about.
take it with my kratom, the Blue Lotus. It used to online kratom used to mix it in, but that's just an MAO inhibitor, so that like kind of helps release the shit. But I know
Yeah,
for DMT you'll have to use it.
I mean Chancey said steeped in wine it has an effect on the body.
Hmm.
So
I had some stuff in a vape, but but realistically, I think that was just like Chinese chemicals. Once it's in the vape, we've tried the flower before, it didn't do anything.
Well, I did bring a little video, and it shows the two ideas around like kind of a scientific view on consciousness and then the spiritual. So if you want to pull that up, you can
working
take a
on
look.
it.
It means consciousness means, I mean, you're talking subconscious, super conscious, and consciousness, right? Like it means so much to different people.
Well, do you think it should be something like we should take all loosey goosey? That one's mine.
Oh, my bad. Stop screen.
Or is it like the Nephilim who are here like tricking us and trying to steal our souls?
I
Deb,
truly believe
Deb,
that we. Sorry?
when I try to bring up the video that you sent, Deborah, it just brings me to the Google page for what is consciousness. So you shared the wrong link, I think.
That was shitty.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier. I meant to ask you about it, but it slipped my mind after talking about
Well, when I
killing
click on it, it shares. But here, I'll send it again.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know what the hell it's doing. It keeps reloading Google when I click on it. I don't know why. Well, it brings up what is consciousness, not even what is consciousness.
Yeah, but when you click on that, there's a video. It should be.
Oh, let's see. See if it works this time. Nope. I don't know what's going on with that. It brings up Google search and then it brings up a blank screen on Google search and then it won't let me do anything. It's freaking weird.
Okay, well, I sent it again. I don't know if it doesn't work, then whatever. But
I'm trying to see if I can find it. Is it from Scientific American?
no, it's a YouTube video from
Oh,
Sadhguru,
let me see videos here.
and it says, "Is consciousness a miracle?" And it's from November 9th, 2023.
You says consciousness America. Okay, yeah, I'll go with that and see if I can find it. Sadhguru, that's what you said? Okay.
Yeah, this was just a little short video of it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I found the minute long one and the hour and 50-minute long one, but I'll play the minute one.
Yeah, that's the one.
But There we go. There we go.
Consciousness consists in brain activity, 86 billion neurons, possibly 100 trillion synapses.
You don't say, I'm the brain. This means there is somebody beyond that. We don't look at brain as something different. It is just body with a different levels of functionality.
We know that when the person dies, their consciousness goes out of existence.
Consciousness is that which is the very basis of our creation. Oh, where is the proof? Well, I am the proof.
I don't believe in miracles. Extrasensory perception, we know it doesn't exist.
An entity that we cannot perceive through sense perception. This is what we refer to as consciousness. Science should never conclude what we do not know cannot exist.
So what is that, like Santa Claus and Albert Einstein? Like, what was that?
Close, the Sadhguru, and then I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's an expert sort of from the scientific point of view. So that's what gets, really confusing, right?
Why is he a sad guru? Why isn't he happy? Why isn't he a happy guru?
That's just his name, but he's always in bliss because he's, a guru. So
he's taking some of those mushrooms Scott likes, but yeah.
No, but I think he's somebody who just lives a spiritual life and obtains that kind of blissfulness through meditation without the aid of anything, right? So I'm telling you guys, though, I'm convinced consciousness and, source, creator source energy running through you, it's a thing. Like, I'm a 100% believer. I believe in angels. I believe in, spirits and everything. You can be very conscious of all the subtle things around you that if you're kind of not attuned to it, you're not going to notice, but sensitive people do notice.
Have you ever thought about, I know you don't want to try any, or you're scared to try the hallucinogenic angle, but have you ever tried a sensory deprivation tank or anything?
No, but see, that would be something I would like to, I think that would be really interesting, because the thing about meditation is the quieter you can shut everything down, your brain and all the thoughts that, monkey mind, whatever going on, the quicker you can kind of get into a meditative state. And when I first used to meditate, I'd shut lights off and just have it really, quiet, just candle or whatever. Now I can kind of get into it no matter what's going on. But yeah, when you really kind of shut down all your regular senses, then all your kind of psychic senses kick in. So
I've wanted to try one. There's one in Utah. I don't know exactly how far away it is from my house, but I would love to try one of those one day.
You can just go and pay and
yeah, it's like an hour rental or whatever.
Interesting. Yeah, no.
They might have them if you're in a big city. I don't know how big the city is, but if you're in a fairly big city, they probably have one near you. It'd be worth Googling.
Yeah, probably in Edmonton or Calgary, maybe. But yeah, no, I would be down with exploring that a little bit. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be interesting, that's for sure. I mean, all those sci-fi shows where that's how they solve future crimes and stuff is by, putting themselves in that deprivation tank and they could see things that are going to happen in the future. That idea is just trippy as hell.
Have you guys? It's like a YouTube kind of challenge, but that's when we were just thinking about the sensory deprivation tank, but they have that room that's supposed to be the quietest room in the world, and people they can't last an hour. Have either of you seen that on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
They can't last an hour?
Yeah, it's supposed to be so quiet that they start hallucinating. Check it out on YouTube. It's kind of a trip because they start going crazy within under an hour because it's just this huge soundproof, completely black room, but you're not even in the in the sensory deprivation tank. You're in that salt water that's at your body's temperature, so you're like floating, but this is supposed to be just a room you sit in.
So think about solitary confinement in prisons then. Like that's, it really is sort of almost used like a torture in some cases, right? Where you just deprive people of experiences or whatever. Because think of how much information we take in every second of our lives, just through sight and sound and then we are actually taking on information through our psychic senses that we're not aware of or whatever. But when you shut all that down a little, like suddenly, and the person's not ready for it, yeah, it's pretty wild.
Well, I think with the neon lights constantly fucking blaring on you too, that would, that, and being locked up in a cage, can't leave, like,
Yeah,
fuck that.
I find malls and casinos are terrible. Things like that, I get sensory kind of overload. Do you guys ever feel like that, where there's flashing lights and too many people and too much kind of fake
Did you say I find balls?
malls?
Malls.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what are we talking about now?
That's a whole
When they're packed, yeah.
That's,
When they're packed, yeah. But I attribute that more to anxiety than.
I feel like it's the lights. I feel like a lot of it is, bright flashing lights, fake lights, fake lighting versus sunlight or whatever. I think some of it's that, but yeah.
Sometimes I like it though.
Oh, sometimes, like if you're in the right frame of mind and your energy's all kind of set properly, then yeah. But if you're kind of feeling out of sorts already, and then you go someplace like that, and it's just you're bombarded, yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
Have either of you guys been in like a mass protest where there are like tens to hundreds of thousands of people there?
No.
That shit is
like mob mentality,
Well, yeah, it's a trip. That I can't handle that very well. That's like there's so many people, and it's just, or like I guess a music festival would be the same type of thing. Have you been to a music festival, Jeremy?
No, I can't say I have. I've been to just regular concerts with like 3 or 4 acts, maybe at most. But
looking at like soccer, like what they call soccer in
Sports
or
teams.
whatever. Oh my gosh, they'll stomp people to death. Like the mob mentality just takes over, and people, it's like they're part of this living organism of one thought, and they have zero like independent control, and they do that's wild. That's wild.
There's definitely a feeling like other than what you see and hear. Like you have depending on the group of people, there is definitely a feeling that spreads between everybody.
So in my mind, that's kind of proof that there is consciousness that we can tap into, and where we're all connected as one. And same, have you ever heard about people, when people do prayer, like all over the world, but people send the same, intentions or prayers all at the same time, and they send healing energy, and then it works. It's kind of like that. Like that's some sort of, conscious effort that actually has an effect on somebody, way far away. That's incredible.
So what do you think it is? Do you think we're all the same person and we relieved ourselves of consciousness and then we're trying to like find our way back to the Godhead, or?
I think we all are part of that consciousness. We all have our own consciousness, but we are all connected. It's like a big internet. You can access that information anytime. We're all connected to that. And then we come here to expand our consciousness. So we come here to have kind of challenges and experiences and learn and expand that consciousness even bigger. Like we come here forgetting all about it, and then we learn and remember as we go, if we're doing and that's where that's where reincarnation comes. If you haven't learned the lessons, you'll come back to learn the lesson again. That's what I think.
That's the most common belief I've heard for reincarnation, is that it's all about if you're not accomplishing your goals this time around on Earth. You might not also not always have goals this time around on Earth either. Sometimes just
easy lifetimes or whatever too, right? Where it's just you're expanding over like pleasantry versus struggle and strife. So it depends, and you choose this each time you come, I think. And
I hope you're right.
Yeah. And then
I
in
hope.
that way, like there is no heaven and hell. Like it's all love. Like this is the densest planet, or this is the densest place that we'll ever go. And so it's not like you go up to, God and you stand at the gate and see if you get in or not. I don't really believe that. I believe that everything's light and love and a higher vibration. But this is where we come to like expand that vibration even more through our experiences.
See, my only problem with like a lot of the talk like that, whether it's astrology or this or Christianity or anything, is like we all know we're gonna die, and are we just looking for a pleasant way for us to explain it to ourselves that like you're not gonna not exist anymore, you're gonna go on somewhere else, or like do you ever think about that? Like maybe I'm just
Well, the thing is, because I've had experience with spirits that I like, personal experiences with people who have passed on or whatever. So what is that then? Am I making that up, or I don't know. I've had very
well, like
physical like
maybe
lights
they're
going on and stuff. So I don't know. What is that then?
maybe they're just like on a different plane, and they too will die or stop existing, right? Like that's when we get down to these words, it's what is God? If my theory of simulation theory is right, well, God is the creator, he was the programmer. Like we have all these words that try to analyze what we're saying, but like we really just don't know.
Isn't
Yeah,
that the fun of it though?
I mean, we're not supposed to know until we get to the final life where we pretty much come in harmony with the whole simulation, and then that's when we get to exit the simulation finally and go to the real dimension where there's free freaking alcohol all day and free weed all day.
But what if we are the NPC?
Well, some of
Just
us may be,
saying.
Scott, but some of
Could
us are
be.
controlling the game. Some of us are controlling the game. That's all I'm saying.
All I know is I'm gonna be so pissed if it turns out that I'm just like being controlled by some snot-nosed teenage alien playing an after-school game of Sims or
But
something.
you're not going to be pissed because you just won't exist. It'll be
Yeah,
like the void.
I can see some alien kids getting all pissed off. Mom, my game's broken. They don't say out. They don't say out and about right.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
I
no,
guess the
no.
whole thing is just behave, just in case. Maybe that's the whole just
Game,
in case.
that's game theory, right? Like they have that whole mathematical equation broke down where it's better to be religious, and like if you do go to heaven, it's great if you die, but if you don't go to heaven, then it didn't really matter. And then if you weren't religious, like if you don't go to just stop existing, it's fine. But if you have to go to hell for the rest of eternity, so like your best bet would be to follow some sort of religious
Yeah.
practice that you believed in.
That's where I think, and I was raised Catholic, so it's very much about behaving and then being rewarded for your suffering and your whatever. I don't believe it's that at all. I don't believe there's like some judgmental God that's going to punish you if you haven't done things exactly right. I think everyone's cheering you on in the collective universe. It's loving souls. You chose to come here to learn something. If you didn't get it right, you're just going to, it's like a karmic wheel or whatever. You'll just come back and do it again till you get it right. But nobody's like punishing you if you didn't. You're just choosing to expand your consciousness. And I just like that so much better than, all the stress and threats of damnation if you don't get it right. I just don't see a loving God would be that. I don't think that at all. God is
Well,
like energy, so
that's the crazy part about the Christian religion is the God of the Old Testament was not a loving God. He was a very judgmental God. It wasn't
right.
until the Jesus figure came, who was like the Buddha, the Krishna, all these other figures who had talked peace and all this stuff, where Christianity kind of got melded into this loving God thing. And Christians hold on to that loving God thing. They don't like talking about the Old Testament God.
Well, who wants the God that's, you didn't get something right and you're like on the elevator going down? Like nobody wants that. That's it's just, it's a love energy. So, and whether you call it God or you call it creator or call it source, whatever, but it's a, loving, uplifting energy. It's not scary, and it's not like if you make a mistake, you're going to be punished. I really don't believe that at all.
I hope you're
I
right.
mean, Scott definitely hopes you're right. I mean,
Yes,
I don't make,
you better hope I'm
I,
right.
I mean, I don't make mistakes, so I'm good. But
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, the most arrogant guy in the room. He's smited to death.
That's hilarious.
well,
Well, Scott, what did you bring? I know you brought a little video or something too.
Yeah, I got an Alan Watts video. Throw it up there.
you got it, buddy. And I just found another. I just found a video. I'm bringing too after we do yours. But let's do it.
A game. And the game runs like this. The only thing you really know is what you can put into words. Let's suppose I love some girl rapturously. And somebody says to me, well, do you really love her? Well, how am I going to prove this? Well, say, write poetry. Tell us all how much you love her. Then we'll believe you. So if I'm an artist and I can put this into words and convince everybody that I've written the most ecstatic love letters ever written, they say, all right, okay, we'll admit it. You really do love her. But supposing you're not very articulate, are we going to tell you you don't love her? Surely not. You don't have to be Heloise and Abelard to be in love. So the whole game that our culture is playing is that nothing really happens unless it's in the newspaper. So when we're at a party and there's a great party, somebody said, it's too bad there wasn't a tape recorder. And so our children begin to feel that they don't exist authentically unless they get their names in the papers. And the fastest way of getting your name in the papers is to commit a crime. And then you'll be photographed, then you'll appear in court, and everybody will notice you. It really happened if it was recorded. In other words, if you shout and there doesn't come back an echo, it didn't happen. Well, that's a real hang-up. It's true, there's fun with echoes. We all like singing in the bathtub because there's more resonance there. And when we play a musical instrument like a violin or a cello, it has a sounding box because that gives resonance to the sound. And in the same way, the cortex of the human brain enables us, when we are happy, to know that we're happy. And that gives a certain resonance to it. If you're happy and you don't know you're happy, there's nobody home. But this is the whole problem for us. Several thousand years ago, human beings evolved the system of self-consciousness. And they knew. There was a young man who said, though, it seems that I know that I know. What I would like to see is the I that knows me when I know that I know that I know. You see? And this is the human problem. We know that we know. And so there came a point in our evolution when we didn't guide life by just trusting our instincts, and had to think about it, and had to purposely arrange and discipline and push our lives around in accordance with foresight and words and systems of symbols, accountancy, calculation, and so on. And then we worry. Once you start thinking about things, you worry as to whether you've thought enough. Did you really take all the details into consideration? Was every fact properly reviewed? And by Jove, the more you think about it, the more you realize that you really couldn't take everything into consideration, because all the variables in any human decision are incalculable. So you get anxiety. And this, though, also, this is the price you pay for knowing that you know, for being able to think about thinking, to feel about feeling. And so you're in this funny position. Now then, do you see that this is simultaneously an advantage and a terrible disadvantage? What has happened here is that by having a certain kind of consciousness, a certain kind of reflexive consciousness, being aware of being aware, being able to represent what goes on fundamentally in terms of a system of symbols, such as words, such as numbers. You put, as it were, two lives together at once, one representing the other. The symbols representing the reality, the money representing the wealth. And if you don't realize that the symbol is really secondary, it doesn't have the same value. You know, people go to the supermarket and they get a whole cartload of goodies and they drive it through, and then the clerk fixes up the counter and this long tape comes out. And you say, $30, please. And everybody feels depressed. Because they give away $30 worth of paper, but they've got a cartload of goodies. They don't think about that. They think they just lost $30. But you got the real wealth in the cart. All you parted with was the paper. Because the paper in our system becomes more valuable than the wealth. It represents power, potentiality. Whereas the wealth, you think, oh, well, that's just necessary. You've got to eat. Well, I mean, that's to be really mixed up.
I mean, most guys kind of. Who the hell was he, Scott? Is he someone famous or?
It's
Fucking Alan Watts, dude.
it is interesting. You know, I kind of wish society would go back a little bit to bartering, you know, like he had a point where it's like money, like we don't even have actual paper. We're not even giving paper away. It's just a card or whatever, right? It's this idea versus the actual food that sustains our life. And I feel like
Keep going, I'm sorry.
well, we got away from, you know, we used to be hunter-gatherers, right? And you're really connected to the land and you're, you know, hunting and you're getting sustenance to keep yourselves alive. And that's, you know, that's the wealth, is like a good hunter, you know, whatever, good crop. It's really interesting how we put all the kind of value into like a symbol. And we don't really with actual food, right? Like we've disconnected because we were told to or have to because it's law. It's really interesting.
There's like no words that define anything, right? Like you were saying in the beginning, how can you prove that you love someone? You write them poetry, you buy them a mansion, you fucking... Like there is no proof for any of this. How can you prove love?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. Some of the stuff he was saying was like, yeah, it makes sense, but some of the other stuff was just like, I don't freaking know. I question everything. That's
Jeremy just
that's
wants
why,
a drink. He needs a drink after this.
Did you listen to any Ram Dass, Deborah?
No, I haven't, but I know of the work and stuff. Like this stuff fascinates me, honestly, because there is so much more than just going to work, paying bills. Like there has to be. There just is, right?
Well, I'm going to shittily end my presentation with a story from Ram Dass. So you have a sparrow, and he's reluctant to leave and fly down south for the winter. And he ends up staying there until it's too cold. So eventually this sparrow takes off. And he's flying through the wind. Icicles start accumulating on his feathers. And he crash lands in a pasture. And then he's sitting there frozen, thinking, this is the end, I'm done. And a cow comes by and shits on the sparrow. And the sparrow warms up from the shit, and the icicles fall off of his wings, and he's able to fly again. So he, happy as hell, starts chirping and singing. And then a cat walks by, and the cat brushes the shit off of the sparrow, and he eats the fucking sparrow. So there are 3 morals of this story. 1, fucking whoever shits on you isn't always a bad person. 2, the person who gets you out of the shit isn't always a good person. And 3, the most important, if you're in shit, keep your fucking mouth shut.
I love it. Yeah, that's good.
And Michael says that he loves us and he can prove it.
Oh,
He said,
yeah.
I love you. He said, I love you guys, and I can prove it. But do we want
Is
you
he-
to prove it is the question. But
Yeah. Define proving it.
Is it our Michael, or?
yes, it's our Michael.
Well, I can't
It's
prove it off air.
Well, I mean, he can, but just we won't be able to see it. But
Yeah, I didn't buy any of that Alan Watts shit, Michael. So if you got like $1 million you'd want to send me, I would definitely believe you. 100%.
and Harley said she thinks that's a smelly situation there, Scott. It sounds like a shitty situation, that's for damn sure. But
Truthfully, you learn from like the struggle stuff, right? That's always makes you like a, well, hopefully makes you a better person when you get through it. Sucks when you're in it, but it makes you a better person for it.
Well, like you get into a fight with a kid in school and he's like giving you the shit, right? Like maybe somebody who you didn't get along with forever and then you guys finally fight and now you're best friends going through the rest of your life. And then there's the guy that tries to fucking help you during a tough time and that motherfucker ends up stabbing you in the back. But when you're in the shit, you always keep your mouth shut.
yep. Well, I think
Mom, Dad.
I think it's time to talk about some glitches in the Matrix here. And I found a cool video for it, so let's go with that.
I never spoke to anyone about this, but my psychologist, who argues that what I'm about to tell you is the result of my
Did you
PTSD,
watch this video
and
first,
perhaps
Jeremy?
he is right.
It's Reddit stories, dude. So yeah, I don't need to watch it. It's Reddit. Reddit's always full of great stuff.
After high school, I didn't know what to do with my life, and like so many kids, I decided to sign up for the army and make something of it. Following the attacks on September 11th, I did several tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. It was tough, and I have seen and did things that I wish I had not. We would often scoop through tiny villages and coordinate with friendly tribesmen about nearby positions of the Taliban, so nothing unusual. Yet, perhaps I can brush it off as a random experience, but one day I was approached by one of the village elders who talked to me in Farsi. I asked our translator what he was saying. Apparently, the man came up to me to tell me that life is not what it seems and that soon enough I'll understand. That I must open my eyes and soon enough I'll see that things are not what they seem to be. He was a weird old man, I mean his eyes didn't even look human, but I brushed it off. That is until I arrived back in the United States and I continued thinking about what he said following my experiences back home. At the airport I was picked up by my wife and our kid. The problem is, I don't remember them like that. It hurts me to speak like that, wondering if it's because of my psychological trauma, but they are just not the same people. When we got home, things got even more strange. The house, the garden, even the pictures we took together, I do not remember them. It's like I came back from my last tour and everything changed. Almost like the Matrix reset itself and gave me a new life. Or perhaps there are some changes that occurred and I got the wrong life. Maybe I was killed and just reset in a parallel universe? It's hard to think like this, but it has been years.
This dude does not sound safe next to his family.
It feels as though I'm
Just
living
saying.
a strange lie.
Right?
I wonder if I'm the only one with such an experience? As I type this, I am already having a deja vu. I've always wanted to share this part of my life with someone but have never been able to. So, I'll just tell a bunch of people on the internet. One day I was walking to work and all of a sudden had an urge to walk a different path than usual. I work downtown in a big city. It was a strange spur of the moment urge to walk a different way that changed my life forever. I turned into an alley I had never seen before. As I remember it, I made it about 15 feet or so when an actual glitch happened. Everything in my mind scrambled. I felt like I didn't have a body anymore, just that I was a semi-conscious entity floating through some weird dimension. All of a sudden, in the array of different colors and shapes, a vision came to me. It was a bunch of strange-looking people that in my mind resembled businessmen in suits. They looked startled and panicked that I could see them. One of the people made a quick movement and everything turned to black. When I regained normality, I was on a completely different street. It was the same street that I always used to walk to work. I felt sick, and severely disturbed/depressed. I've never done any hard drugs, never experienced any hallucinations, never have had anything like this happen to me. The weird thing is, when the glitch was correcting itself and I could see those people watching me like a caged animal, I had the feeling that I knew I was being controlled. It still bothers me very much to this day. So one evening after visiting my friends, I decide to drop by my parents' house. I usually walk through the garage, using my dad's key code, for the house, and go to the den where my dad watches TV. My mom would be asleep, so most of the lights would be out, except the light from my dad's den. So I'm walking through the house and I seem to be floating. As I get to my dad's den to say hi, I realize in that moment that something isn't right. Today isn't Tuesday, no way I can be here. This must be a dream. At that point, the entire room, house, environment goes dark. Suddenly I'm in this dark space looking at this ghoulish figure, with a somewhat shocked face. Like, he realized I knew this was fake. It was like the curtain was dropped and I saw the puppet master. Making eye contact with him, he kind of looked like a clownish figure. Crazy teeth. Pale face. Weird clothes. Like a mix of Phantom of the Opera meets killer clowns from outer space. I only get a brief moment in this space with him, before he vanishes. After this I immediately wake up. Groggy, roll over, check my phone, see it is about 2:30 a.m. Chalk it up to a crazy dream and go back to sleep. The next day I call my dad just to chit-chat, see how the day is going. We're talking and he tells me. Late last night, I was watching TV. Next thing I know is that you're standing in the doorway. I go to ask, what are you doing here so late? Then you just sort of fade away. Like a computer graphic. Just bit by bit until you're gone. I figured it was time for me to go to bed. Instant knotted stomach, I ask him when this was. Late at night, not sure, probably after 2 a.m., he answers.
That's astral projection.
Oh my God. So I tell him my dream and he just figures it's something we'll never be able to explain. Something from another realm. Not sure if God, dark spirits, or something else. It freaks me out. I wonder if there is something watching me, or maneuvering my days. Pretty freaky. This always gives me the chills when I think about it. My dad has since passed, but I still think about that day. To me this just affirms the connection I had to my old man. Hope he has some answers now. Until then, I hope the ghouls stay away. It's pretty much the only uncontrolled intrusion into my waking life I've ever experienced. I was playing in the oil region band in high school, having competed and won a place in the band. I played euphonium, was second chair, and was kicking myself for not getting first. They got a well-known band composer to direct for us. His name was band director, and much like a professor will assign all the books he wrote inside his own classroom, director assigned all of his pieces, save maybe one. You can imagine how painstakingly we went over each song. They were his children. One song really stuck with me in particular. It is called Dusk. The melodies were simple, but the harmonies are some of the most powerful I've ever heard. Slowly, it started to piece together as we practiced it. The day before the concert we were finishing the song up, adding different stylistic notes here and there. After that was finished, he wanted us to play it through a couple times. I became lost in the music, even as I was playing along. It was simply powerful. And then next thing I knew, I was no longer in the band hall, I was in a barn with my bare feet on the dirty floor. Every sense told me that the barn was real, even more real than the band hall where I really was, because I was taking in all 5 senses at once. The air was cool, almost chilly, and everything felt lighter and cooler than it had before. I could feel my heart beating, not panicked or rapid, but strong. I reached out a hand for the door in the side of the barn. Not the large ones, but the normal ones on the opposite sides. The walls were old wood, with cracks that allowed some reddish sunlight in. I opened the door, and the first thing I noticed was a woman with long blonde hair sitting on the ground outside, facing away towards the sunset, which was straight ahead of me. I knew her. My gaze turned up towards the sunset where she was looking. The sun was already past the edge of the world, so there was only red soaking the sky. But the most incredible thing to me was the wind. It cascaded incredibly powerfully through the wheat, which was stretched out as far as I could see. Endless stalks just waving back and forth. It came, and it's hard to describe this. The wind wrapped around me. It was cold and yet so good to be in. It brought a sharp life, like taking a deep breath after you've been underwater for as long as you can. I can't remember if I stayed out there watching the view for minutes, or if I came back within seconds. Still, there's almost no words to describe this. I've tried my best to do so. The whole experience happened within a few bars of the song. I believe I even continued playing while experiencing this for a bar or two. All I know is that if there is a heaven, I wouldn't be one bit disappointed if that was it. A few questions remain. I've never experienced anything like this before or since, at least during my waking hours. I have had stranger instances also when I'm sleeping, although many things could be explained. I completely understand that this could just be my imagination, but that's still saying something, isn't it? Isn't it amazing where your mind can take you, if you just give it a chance? Unless we're careful to experience things, we may just see more worlds in our sleep and waking dreams than we ever do in real life. I know this will get buried, but if you're an intrepid explorer, you should hear about my experience. About a year ago, my girlfriend and I went to eat dinner at Chipotle's. It's in a smallish shopping area with a burger joint and pay way neighboring the Chipotle. One of those kind of upper classy type of shopping areas. We pulled into the parking lot in front of the establishments at around 5 p.m. on a Friday evening, to find an empty parking lot. There were no tables outside, there were no cars in the parking spots, not a person in sight, and even the lights inside the buildings were off. Completely confused, I took the car in a sort of loop around the building in order to leave. The only thing of interest was a single fire truck parked alongside the building, headlights on, but no emergency lights, and no one in the truck. It struck us a little odd, maybe a fire in the building? As we pull around the backside of the building, and then finish looping around, we drive past the front facade of the building. Except this time every parking spot is full, tables are outside with patrons at them, food half eaten. There's people walking around, and the lights inside the buildings are all on. But the fire truck was gone. Mind you, it took less than 30 seconds to make a circle around the building. Easily one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. More adjustment bureau than Matrix glitchy.
Wasn't that fun? Leave
Yes.
a comment with your.
So
Did you leave a comment?
I don't leave comments for anybody.
So what about this? Do you guys believe in like alternate realities or timelines running simultaneously? Because that explains a lot of
I mean, that's supposed to be where shadow people come from.
that's I really actually think that more than a matrix we're all like in a simulation. I actually think there's simultaneous realities and we like jump back and forth all the time.
Maybe. I don't disprove any of it.
Well, does anybody have anything else for this week?
That's it. Other than I think we all need to do some homework and do the deprivation chambers and the DMT experiences and come back with some answers.
All right. Well, we'll put Scott in charge of that. He has to kidnap us, put us in tanks of water with a oxygen tank, and I don't know. I can see Scott doing that. He looks like he's wearing one of those jumpsuits like that. So let's do it.
It's our first field trip together.
Good.
When it ends with police involvement, yes. But well, that's okay, folks, because next week is going to be our bracket, end of the month bracket as always, and it's an 80s aliens movie bracket.
Sweet.
We have to fix our situation after the horrible events of the last bracket, where a fucking cute bunny won a freaking most awesome creature bracket ever.
Bun. Won't bun this time too.
God
bun
damn
bun the alien.
And I will be correcting that paranormal new normal in about 3 months, hopefully, thank God. But y'all kill me. Y'all kill me.
You can always rely on us.
Always. So, Deborah, you can do the outro for.
Well, that is a wrap, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we expanded your mind just a little bit, and if not, go get yourself a deprivation or some DMT. Report back.
We might have made you a little dumber.
That's always a possibility as well.
Truer words.